Thank you for joining me today on Haynes Cast. On today's Haynes Cast, this episode, what I'm going to try to go over is what's being set up, this kingdom, this beast system, this beast kingdom that the Antichrist will step into. And the way we can see this being set up, it has to do with surveillance, control, digital IDs. I'm going to go over that today on this episode. Just real quick, peace and security is a big issue because peace and security, people compromise. And so when they find themselves compromised, then they do whatever they can to help them get out of that situation where they've been put in because the enemy uses fear. And so fear and propaganda, it puts people in a position, and we are in a position because of what a lot of it, what I've noticed is where I really seen this was when everybody was in lockstep, 4 years ago, what happened there with the pandemic and whatnot. People were in lockstep, and so it was pushing this in to where there's a bigger, I guess, control factor here on what's going on with the masses. And we see it through wars and rumors of wars. We see it through fear. It's coming from all areas. It's coming from the political side, the religious side, and the economic side. And so we see, programs with assistance, how they want to keep people bound. This is not just something that happened overnight. This has been going on for a long time, but it's keeping people bound to a minimal lifestyle. And so government assistance and things that just keep people bound. And so it creates issues because people don't have purpose. When people lose their purpose, when they lose hope, they revert to all sorts of corrupted ways of living. And so because everybody, we have in us a sense of a greed factor, or however that looks, because we want more, we have a want more society. So if people are put on assistance or a minimal income, then it causes them, because it's hard to live on a certain amount of living, only assistance from the government. So it creates lawlessness and things like that because people lose purpose, and then whether it's gambling, stealing, corrupt ways to make money. And so if you've ever obviously noticed how some people talk concerning the mark of the beast and things like that, then we must understand that it's coming from a system that's broke for a reason. And the Antichrist must step into a governing system that's set up for him. And how can you get to this position? Well, you use things like blockchain technology and the tokenization of things. When something's tokenized, it prohibits fraud. They say they're doing this for your security, for a purpose that helps, keep your funds safe, keep you secure financially. But what it does, if you are not careful, then it could also keep you from using those funds if you're not going along with the narrative. And so if you see these things, and if you wondered about the beast system, the mark of the beast and things like that, you're watching it. You're living in the midst of it being set up and established right now. We see it through surveillance. How long is it going to take? I don't know, before, the Antichrist comes on the scene. I have my own opinions on that I believe that are scripturally sound, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But it's surveillance, it's control coming from every direction, things that are programmable. We even see, I wanted to look into this a little more. I know there's been a lot of talk of the crypto and it's going up. Elon Musk, you wonder, how is the big tech mafia, are they going to try to stop, any of this from happening? I don't know. I think they just have to make sure that they're probably in step with it, so they maybe take a share in it. Maybe this big tech mafia are the ones that may be leading it or trying to catch each other with this. I don't know for sure, but God is allowing it to happen. And I believe the reason is because we put trust in a political or economical or religious system. And when we do that, he'll hand us over to it. And that's the three-legged stool that the beast system sits on. It's political, it's religious, and it's economic. Economics. And so we see this rich governing system, trillions of dollars in debt, trillions. We can't even spend it. We are throwing so much money at the world that this whole world is just, I mean, every country, whether it be the United States or whoever, how much debt are we in? Even in this nation, I think it's like 34 trillion. And so we have this being set up here. And of course, there's only one kingdom, God's kingdom in Christ Jesus, that will one day rule on this earth. He'll set up his kingdom on the throne of David. I have Daniel 7 here. It talks about a little bit about the kings here. These kings, there's going to be 10 kings on this, being set up, 10 regions. But here's what Daniel 7 talks about. Daniel's wishing that he knew more about the fourth beast. And so he says, then I wish to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful. I think the other three he's talking about, I didn't really look into this, but I think he's speaking of the kingdoms like Nebuchadnezzar, Alexander the Great, and then when the Medes and Persians were in that, coming down from at that second part of the metallic man talked about earlier in Daniel. But he talks about this fourth beast government. And then verse 19, it says, he says, then I wish to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with its teeth of iron, its nails of bronze, which devoured, broke in pieces, and trampled the residue with its feet. So this is a fierce kingdom, the Antichrist kingdom. When he comes on, he's just going to devour. And then when he sets himself up in the third temple to be worshipped, though he's God, that's going to be at the midpoint of the tribulation. And then he's going after all the Jews. He's going after God's people. And of course, God protects that remnant there. And but so some are slaughtered, some are flee Jerusalem. Anyway, but it just makes you wonder who can stop this. God could stop and allow anything, but we are seeing it set up. And I believe that's my focal point that I wanted to point out, that he's allowing this to happen, because where are we putting our trust? And can people like Elon Musk or Peter Thiel, who has his protege J.D. Vance, who's into crypto, who's into transhumanism, they're into these things. That's how these people, in their tech savviness or their transhumanist agendas, like Elon Musk, Neuralink, they can't stop the power. The Antichrist is just using the system. He'll use anyone he can, and so and then he gets to the point where he gets his power as a one world ruler. And so it says, verse 4 earlier in that chapter, it says, so they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And I think that might even be a Revelation passage that I had taken and pasted in there when I was just doing a little bit of research on this. But it's the one true sovereign God who grants Satan the authority to give power to the Antichrist, with the influence, of course, of the false prophet there that's leading people to the beast. But it's God allowing this. He said, uh, I believe it's in Revelation 6, he says a crown was given to him. So God, when the first seal was opened, a crown was given. It might be the second seal, but a crown was given to the Antichrist. He was going out to conquer and to devour. And so we have 10 regions of the world where the kings govern, and then comes the Antichrist out of that. And again, a crown was given to him. Here's verse 9, chapter 7 of Daniel, I believe it is. Here's the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. I believe that would be the authority structure there on which the woman sits. He's talking about the woman, the whore, the mystery Babylon, that whore system. It's the beast system. He says there are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was and is not is himself the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. So he's the 8th, which is coming out of the 7, and so he's also called the little horn that rises up. Verse 12, the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as of yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as king with the beast. So they're going to basically give their allegiance to the beast. These are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. So basically, they're going to rule and reign with the Antichrist there, or at least have power with him, which ultimately God's going to come and break down that kingdom, and he's going to destroy the beast system and set up his kingdom. So as I've done before on podcasts, on Spotify, and through Haynescast, not the visual side on YouTube, but I've talked about this. If you want to go check out any of that on Spotify, you can check that out. But it's this beast system that we are seeing set in place, and it's the millennial reign of Christ that's coming, where Jesus sets up his kingdom on this earth. And so, I mean, we see Bitcoin, other things that are leading to this, his narrative to be able to rule and reign is, central banking, being, the digital dollar, cashless society. We've talked about that. You've heard about that. Bitcoin could be played into this somehow. I mean, if you got that network there, and I'm not a financial guy, but if you have somebody that's got 51% of that Bitcoin network, I guess, things can change. If it's not, tangible, if you don't have something, if you don't have it in your hand and it's just digital, or you see it there, or if you don't cash it in somehow and get it to where you can have it. But even then, if cash isn't there, if things are going digital, I think you have to diversify, some metals, some cash, however that looks, whatever your assets look like there. But we know, this is programmed by the government. And it happened. We've seen it happen a few years ago in Canada with a lot of the truck drivers and their bank accounts closed. We now put that on a worldwide level through blockchain technology. The level of control can be down to basically every detail of your life, laying this foundation for the mark of the beast. And so that nobody can buy or sell without a mark. And that's, you can look at Revelation 13 on that. And 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 talks about, the beast. But these tokenized assets to what's purchased, property, real estate, however that looks, digital ID for security. We see the war on cash, where some banks you're not even allowed to have cash. Some banks, you go in to get a couple $1,000s out, or even maybe say $5,000 or $6,000 out, I mean, you might have to come back to the next day. I don't know if they're doing they have to put you in for a security check and make sure they want to know where that money's going. And I mean, it's your money. Why can't you just get it now? There's a vault there. There's the bank there. There's cash there. Why is it? Well, I guess they're only giving some banks so much money on hand, I'm assuming, to where they don't have the money there. And so what if everybody just raided and wanted their money all at once? I mean, so we have to understand, I mean, everybody's using debit cards, credit cards. People aren't really using cash. So if you want your money, can you really get it if you want it? It's not like, I mean, it makes you wonder. I mean, I'm not trying to push fear, but the enemy pushes fear, and we just have to take things, think about it. Can you, if you have a money market investments, how quick can you get your money if you need it? And so, how will we interact in a society where, with blockchain technology and being tokenized and things like that, how can you pay your taxes, and how can you function in this society? If we don't play by the rules, we get cut off. And so, I mean, I know Psalm 2 talks about the kings of the earth, and how they want to set up their kingdom, and that's what we're seeing set up, used for the Antichrist when he comes, and they give their allegiance to him, and then he has his one world rule that you've heard talked about and that we've talked about here on Haynescast. But they can track medical history, they can track your carbon footprint. Are you being polite to Mother Nature? Wow, we see all the chemtrails and the aluminum oxide and all these, whatever it is that's being pushed out into the atmosphere to save Mother Earth. But yet we have to have our environmental social governance and have a good ESG score. Cash being, again, vilified. And then, of course, all these things that they want to come at us with, to do away with cash is, look at the convenience, look at all the fraud, look at all the money the banks are losing because there's so much fraud, so much. But I think this is all part of the plan and the purpose, whether bankers know it, whether whoever knows it, we know it's going to happen. We see, how else can we interpret it happening when we know it's written in the scriptures? We know it says it in Daniel, it says it in Revelation. Paul talks about it in Thessalonians. It's throughout the scriptures. It's in Psalm 2. It's a governance it's ruling the world with the counterfeit trinity. We have Satan, the false prophet, and the Antichrist. So where God will do away with that, but it won't be until his second coming when he sets up his kingdom in the millennial reign. And so we have, of course, this continual gradual push, and makes you wonder how a business can even operate. Well, you have to follow by the rules. We have our cash, we have Federal Reserve notes, that's really not truly a reality, is because if you go in to buy something and you want to pay cash, say buy a car or something, they may have to call the creditor to see how you're getting this money, and they may not want cash. They want it all financed, however that is. They really don't. I don't think they want that. They would rather have it financed. They just criminalize cash, demonize it to where they check in on you if you try to use it. And so, is it really legal tender? It's supposed to be, legal tender for all debts, public and private. So it says that right on the note. But again, that's not truly a reality. And I think a lot of what plays into this is the public-private partnerships that help accomplish this. So whether it's car dealers or whatever big box company, whatever big business is, that if that's put the government pushing it, So they have to abide by the rules. So if they say you got to do this, you got to wear a mask, you whatever, well, then they will push that from their stores. They'll push the agenda. And so the on-ramps and the off-ramps are controlled by the government. And so even with Bitcoin, it's got its own issues. And so even though it may be decentralized, really is it? And so if we have quantum computing, we have all these things that we see that's setting up a way for there to be peace and security for all people that they're using. But it's like their campaign slogan, peace and security. And when we see this, Paul says in Thessalonians, in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, while they say peace and security, sudden destruction comes. And so, but they've been saying it. If you look it up, I mean, this is going back, from like, I think I've first heard like George Bush Sr. using it, but I think it's even gone back further. So we'll say for the sake of just me guessing, 50 years while they say peace and security. Well, while they say peace and security. And so we know that Israel has been a nation, recognized as a nation since 1948. We know that the Antichrist wants to step into that third temple in Israel. So when we see Israel as a light to the nations, as even though they're going through what they're going through now, and things could be setting up for peace and prosperity and peace and security, and that could be all well and fine during this, but eventually there's a war that's going to break out. And most theologians, and you can read it for yourself in Ezekiel, Russia, with all these Arab nations coming at Israel to make war with, and God will step in and protect Israel in that. But we're seeing all these players on stage setting up this fourth kingdom for the Antichrist to step into. We are seeing all the players on the stage, and the curtain it may be shut now, but all the characters and all those on stage are taking their places and getting it set up. So once it opens, and I believe that that's going to be after the rapture of the church, where Paul says, then the Antichrist will be revealed, and whom the Lord destroys at his coming. So yes, his kingdom will not last. God will take care of it, but the setup to it is a coup attempt to the millennial kingdom that Jesus will rule and reign with a rod of iron. He will rule and reign in righteousness. So hey, think about these things. Check. Hope you subscribe. I'm going to try to be trying to update and see where we are politically from the lens of scriptures, economically, and religiously. I want to talk about that. I'll probably talk about that next time with the New Apostolic Reformation, and just how Satan uses and divides the church to accomplish his purpose, because he knows that a house divided cannot stand. So thanks for listening to Haynes Cast. See you next time.